Well, first off, Sunbelt is very honored to be chosen as an innovative product finalist for the Joe Abbott Award and the opportunity to share the new PumpSentri technology that's been incorporated into bypass pumping. Before we begin, we'd like to share how we got to this point with some background and why this new technology fills the gap to what is currently being utilized to operate bypass pumping systems. Currently, a bypass when in operation has manned pump watch, which of course has its pros and cons. A big pro is that bypass pump watch can respond immediately to issues. However, some of the cons are that the system intel is based on manned observations. Visual observations can be subject to error. It's hard to troubleshoot issues that cannot be seen. And of course, sharing the paper trail of system performance in shift changes and with the office can be troublesome and not readily accessible by all the stakeholders on the project, which of course equates to a delay in proactive services and/or system diagnostics, all of which can contribute to system performance errors. Some of the primary goals of incorporating PumpSentri into bypass pumping are inherently to reduce risk and the chances of sanitary sewer overflows, followed by the benefit of increased operational efficiencies and a reduction in overall system operation cost. Over the years, technology has been incorporated in just about all things electronic. From vehicles to toasters, IoT, or Internet of Things is everywhere, providing the end user a remote interface. However, in the construction industry, IoT is still relatively in its infancy, with many different platforms and interfaces depending on the make and model of the actual machinery. Bypass pumping has different telematic platforms for the pumps themselves. However, nothing to the extent of a multi-platform tool regardless of the make and model of the equipment. Here's where PumpSentri comes into play. It's a tool to see the actual bypass performance. Essentially, PumpSentri fills the gap by providing real-time system performance data that visual observations alone cannot provide. So here's an example of the standalone version, which when incorporated remotely anywhere in the bypass system and with different sensor inputs, it can provide real-time system updates on the actual flow of the bypass system pressures, even manhole surcharge levels, and sewer plug pressures, all of which can be accessed online, and the information is data logged for historical data. Again, to be clear, this is not a replacement for PumpWatch. It is a tool to provide useful data to the pump operations teams, contractors, and the owners on the system performance. When PumpSentri is installed on the pump itself, it can provide the health of the actual pump beyond basic engine telematics by providing proactive event alerts, whether that be the engine data, low fuel levels, high or low coolant levels, pressure, temperature, and even the wet end vibration. It can also provide location and runtime. Additional sensor inputs can be incorporated into this unit by providing the bypass flow, the bypass pressure, and even the liquid levels themselves that we're pumping. And of course, it's got remote operation capability. You can start and stop the pump and even change the engine RPM. Essentially, you can see what can't be seen. So here's an example of the interface, which can be viewed on a laptop or PC, as well as the PumpSentri app. So here's an example of the PumpSentri in action. This is a case study that reduced the owner's risk in a large project where the bypass system was only in standby during wet weather events. Essentially, the bypass was there to support the replacement of a 90-inch parallel interceptor, which added capacity to the original interceptor only during wet weather events. Therefore, it only ran when it rained. To reduce cost and not have PumpWatch deployed the entire duration of the project, Sunbelt utilized PumpSentri on 6 of the primary pumps set in automation with liquid level transducers monitoring the surcharge levels in the upstream manhole. When the level came up during a weather event, they would start and send an alert to the standby PumpWatch team to deploy. In this instance, the owner saved hundreds of thousands of dollars during the duration of the project by not having the pump watch on site the entire duration of the project only when needed.